the world, which all come together to make a great community. With that, we'll call the meeting to order and recognize that we have quorum. And on Wednesday night, we'll have an adoption of the agenda. Any changes or additions or comments on the agenda? Seeing none, we should be good to go. Declaration of a conflict or pecuniary interest with any of the agenda items. Councillor Day, we've got the one on the tires.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll briefly excuse you from that discussion. No other pecuniary interests. Okay. Delegations, presentations, or petitions. Nothing that I can see. Nope. Good to go. I think we're good on public question period. Adoption of the minutes from the May 12th and 14th meeting. Any changes, deletions needed on those minutes? Anything noted?
I'm just missing off
Councilor McLeod? All right, Ms. Ron, let me know.
I'm missing off the council list there.
Oh. Despite all the motions you seconded? Yeah, okay. We will somehow add him. Yeah. That's right, because we had full attendance on Monday, so everyone had to be there. Any other further changes needed? Okay. Action items from the 12th and 14th. Any questions about any of the action items?
Is there a plan for in the near future?
Yes. We're just waiting on the boat launch. Daniel submitted our funding application that we submitted last fall, and they told us, no, that's a summer project. So we're supposed to hear back probably. I emailed Jason. He said the deputy minister's going to review them or review the recommendations on the 6th of June. So we should hear back then. And then Daniel will convene a boat launch committee, and then we'll look at the money the town's putting in, any other we've been able to find, and then what the community access, what they've approved for that, and then make a plan for the boat launch. Okay. No other questions on any of the other action items? Okay. Item 8.1, request for council decision. It says update fees, charges, policy, commercial solid waste collection. It's I'll let Cindy speak. It's just something we noticed that we hadn't updated the policy.
So there is no change financially. The charges are still the same. It's just these fees were not included in our fees and services schedule. And the concern is if we don't include them when we do make changes, it'll get missed and we won't have an opportunity to change them. So it's simply an administrative addition to the fees and services schedule.
Okay. 8.2 fees waived. Okay, this is where Ned's just going to declare a quick conflict and head down the hallway. This is basically he's helping Ingamo Hall. They just took down the skating rink on the weekend, cleaned up the site, but what he'd like to do is to build a bike track out of used tires, and hopefully that is someplace for the kids to ride their bike and that type of stuff. But if for some reason it doesn't go well, or at the end of the season, he'll clean it up, and then is just asking that not be charged for the tires when he takes them to the dump. Questions, comments? Normally, if one of the tire shops or whatever, if they're going to dispose of tires at the dump, they pay by the truck load, whatever side the trunk is. That's how we charge at the dump. But in this case, because it's coming from Ingamo and it's for the kids, kind of a park, there wouldn't be a charge. it works well, they may look at storing the tires, but they have to make sure they've got room for that and still build the rig. Okay,
I'd only note in the brief, this is also that number 8.1, 8.2. Well,
I texted him and see that, and you don't have it on,
okay.
it's on when.
It is 8:22. Jenna wasn't here, so somebody else was trying to get it together.
Yeah.
Less skilled than Jenna.
I should have performance manage that person.
yeah, who's in charge of that person? Okay,
Steve, do you wanna?
oh, yeah, bring it back. Okay.
On back.
Page 3, request the council decision. This is during most summers because staff are all busy building stuff, doing stuff, arranging stuff. And also counselors are off in different directions, that there usually hasn't been a second meeting in July and August. And so this is just what we have to go through with council in order to cancel those meetings. So that's what this is about. If there was the need to hold a meeting, then we would call one with the proper notices like we would any other time. Questions, comments? Okay. Request for council decision, addition to the human resource manual, pay advance policy. Cindy, want to give an overview of this?
Yes, so this is another administrative addition. Well, more like a revision. It was something that has been done before, but was never included in the manual. And historically, there have been times in extraordinary circumstances where a staff person has had to ask for a pay advance just due to financial difficulties or some other emergency. And we have done this in the past and historically over the years. And we noted last year and like over the past year that there isn't a clear policy on this. So we wanted to set some guidelines, tighten it up, make it very clear. So if somebody needs to do a pay advance, they would request it in writing and then they would have to pay it back the next pay. Our concern is just given extraordinary circumstances, we also don't want this practice to be something that will lead them into more financial, you keep on borrowing for the future, eventually you're gonna have that money available to you when you need it. So we're putting a cap on it, 3 times, that's it. And if there are some other issues, then that's where our EAP program comes in. They have financial management, they have advocacy with banks and that type of stuff to help the person as well. So again, this is something that has been a standard practice. It's just we would like to tidy it up and make sure that there's some accountability there.
Thanks. Questions? Comments?
Could I ask a
Forward.
question, please?
What's that, Alana?
I just had a question. I wasn't sure. I can wait.
Okay. Okay.
Am I asking
Go ahead.
my question now?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, it's really hard to hear you, Peter. Sorry. So my question is this 3 times in the work life of the employee with the town or 3 times in a set period of time?
This would be 3 times per year.
3 times per year is a lot if somebody's having that much difficulty handling money. That would really concern me.
And that's why we have, after the 3rd time, it's a referral to the our EAP program and accessing the financial advocacy and services that our EAP program has.
So how often a year or how many employees have accessed this?
In the past year, 3. 2 have asked a couple of times. So I would say in the last year, probably 3. I'm just looking at the directors because the requests go through them. So I would say probably 3 in the last year, give or take. Yeah. It doesn't happen.
So my thought, okay, but my thought on this, by the 2nd time you've done this, you need some help. I would prefer to see it after the second time people are referred for financial counseling rather than 3. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, thank you, Councillor Merrill. We'll, we can adjust that and bring it back on Wednesday. Any other comments on that? Okay. Item 9, no bylaws. Item number 10, departmental updates. We'll start with corporate services.
There is none.
Oh, none that you were able to get. Okay.
They were in mid edit when we got the call.
Okay. Sorry, our finance officer had to leave suddenly today, so we will start with Charlotte, economic development and tourism. All yours, Charlotte.
Good evening.
Is that weird?
Might have to turn it on. So late March, we went to Calgary at the Adventure Show. You can see on the pictures, it was very well attended, actually better than Vancouver. Lots of people, especially with like a little game that we had with Guess the Third, then we can win a parka and different crafts from local artists. There was also the Tourism Week, April 7 to 11. We organized the Tuck Inuvik Operator Award. Enoch and Amanda Pokiak won this award, 74 submissions for this award. Lots of people voted from Inuvik, but there were some submissions for Tuck operators as well. On the 10th, I was invited to Tuck by the Tourism Association of the Yukon to participate in a roundtable about tourism in the NWT in Yukon. And we also on that day organized with ITI a tourism appreciation night at the Mackenzie Hotel, where we also delivered the award. And we also, the town organized a the next northernmost host session in partnership with ITI. So I just made a form, and there was actually a lot of people interested in taking that training. So Lisa Spinac was in charge of that, should have the date set for next month. We also featured with the library. Hold on. The library was featuring every day a different book from the north, most specifically about the Beaufort Delta. So that was pretty cool to do with them. We also helped the Parks and Rec department for the First Responder Day on May 1st. We held our last stakeholder meeting on May 9th. It was pretty well attended. And the next one will be in September. It's pretty nice to have them if you have the time to join. It's pretty interesting to know what's going on in town and get to know what each operator or hotels or anyone who has an interest in tourism or even just in town really, what's going on in town, what people want to see, what they would like to do, and also form some partnerships as well. Summer culture connections are all set. This is workshops hosted by local crafters. We're doing even baking. It's on Tuesdays in the summer. It will start after the AD on June 24th. And of course, the Arctic Development Expo, June 17th and 19th, is pretty much finalized by now. All sponsorship is done. It's looking great, thanks to Peter mostly. And yeah, we secured also accreditation with our college. And yeah, that's gonna be good. Then different projects that are coming up. So we partner with CNAF again this year for hosting workshops during the CNAF, the Great Northern Art Festival, as well as the Inuvik Community Greenhouse to host an Arctic market during the CNAF. There's also the town signs, the first one will be delivered next week. And if approved and all good, we'll follow the other ones, so all town buildings should have a name by then. The new website launch, I just postponed today the date. It was supposed to be on Wednesday, but it will be June 10th in 2 weeks. We have some staffing issues. The marketing person has been away for quite some time, and so I have to postpone that project. After the committee meeting, we had a idea from Jen Parrott and from some youth to launch a campaign to know what youth in town would like to see happening for them. So we had more than 50 submissions, and I was invited by the school to go to one of their youth meetings, council meetings. So I had a lot of ideas that were shared with Director Krug and Hulu. So they will work on what they can do about that now. It's not up to me. And then why is this moving? Ugh. And then new funding. So we secured the seed funding for ATE, $21,000. The tourism product development for PropRef, which is a marketing tool, 7,000, and the CTIC for the washrooms, 100,000. Washrooms in Chippewa Park. And I applied last month, but we won't have the answer for that until a few months. It's Government of Canada, so it will take a while, but it will be for the Sunrise Festival 2026. And that's pretty much for me.
Thanks, Charlotte. Questions from council? Deputy Mayor.
Or just on that second last slide, the town signs, are those the ones you're referring to, like along the roadside, the different?
No, it's actually the name of the building, like town hall.
Oh,
Any further questions or comments on Charlotte's report? Great, thanks, Charlotte. Danielle.
Thanks, Jenna. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Just a brief update from the Department of Infrastructure. Next slide. Yeah. So I'll do a few updates on the capital projects. So the first one there is the Children's First Flooring. We have a budget of 100,000 for that. We currently have that tender posted. With plans to close May 30th, and we have put a substantial completion date in the tender documents for July 31st, so that we can have that done as quickly as possible. So hopefully that works out. On the top left-hand side, you have the flooring materials we have chosen, and I do have the physical sample here if anybody is interested in taking a look at that. So we have the main flooring, washrooms, and the entrance, and then of course the baseboard. So these are the materials that have been chosen by the designers, and obviously CFS board also approved those. So hopefully, like I said, that closes on 30th, and we'll see how many contractors apply for it. Oh, sorry, you want to do on that? Yeah. Oh, sorry, you're positive.
Sorry, if I can just add here, so the substantial completion date, we hope to have in July. However, Director Krug has also worked with Children's First to accommodate Children's First at our MSC in the event that they can't get in by August. So for them to have the MSC while during August, if that's the case, and then we would just, again, knowing money and stuff like that, just accommodate them by, instead of their monthly rent being paid or their monthly lease being paid for this Children's First building, then it would just be the rental fee of the MSC, and we would just switch it up that way. So he's done some good work just trying to accommodate, make sure that the kids still have the daycare and that type of stuff. In the event that August is required.
Yeah, so those are conversations Children's First, the executive director of Children's First is having on this one. So I do know he has reached out to the school for July. He's also waiting to hear back from Aurora College for space as well. And then of course he reached out to the director of Krug as well for August. So there are plans to move out completely during the renovation, which is ideal, but obviously we'll work around that with them to see how we can make it work for them.
The other thing that should be noted, 100,000 was the budget that the town is putting in, but Children's First has also got other funding because 100,000 won't cover all of that. So the I'm not sure if the exact number was 250,000 that Witchin Tribal Council was putting in.
So we'll see what the contractors come back with there yet, and then from there they will have to reach out to their fund sources to secure the rest of it. Solar farm. This one is fully funded by the government of Canada. Budget was well, for this year was 1.1. We spent about 350. The power foundation is complete, and as most of you probably already know, the racks are already being put up. I think they actually finished that this morning. The e-building is also about 70% complete in White House, and it's going to be coming up by the end of this month. The issue we do have with this project, obviously, is the batteries coming from China, which at this time they still think they're hoping will be delivered to Inuvik by September. So which obviously leads to a little bit of delay. But having said that, we've been reaching out with them. We've been speaking to them this week, and they might be able to connect the building by July. So which will mean we could power the MSC for July, August, and the rest of the season anyways, while we have the sun, while we wait for the batteries to come in and then they finish up. But that's still being looked into. They're currently working with their engineers on that. I think the main thing there is as long as they are not putting any outputs to the grid, we should be fine. But that's what they're currently working on. The water treatment pump house backup generator, the budget for this was 527. Period actual, we've only spent about 2,000. Status, it's in progress. But we did receive the Class D cost estimates from the engineers, which came back at 2.4. So there was a shortfall of about 1.9 million, which is a significant shortfall. The current plan is to have two 500 kVA 600 volt NG generators installed. So we're currently working with the engineers to see how we can bring that cost down. Currently talking about probably having some kind of load shedding ideas and have one generator instead. I mean, and all of this is based on the output, right? So right now the load for the water treatment plant is about 750 kilowatts. So one 500 kVA generator, 750 kVA, sorry. So one 500 kVA isn't going to work for the water treatment plant. At least we won't be able to operate at full capacity. And of course, we're also looking at the pump house, which is 250. So right now, the current plan was to have two 500 kVAs to work simultaneously for efficiency. And that's what the suppliers have advised. But like I said, we're currently looking into how we can bring down that cost. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks here, I'll have responses from them and we can bring that down a lot and then proceed with the project.
Daniel, you also identified whatever the lead time in terms of what they're going to be building.
Yes.
So if that's the case, then the project would exceed
This year.
2025 and it would be going into next year. So
Yes.
we might make some initial payments this year, but then the final payments and the installation would be in
Will be next year.
26.
Because the generator itself right now is about 6 months, 6 months to 12 months lead time, and the enclosures, depending on the company, it's about 4 months to 18 months. So this project is definitely going into 2026. We just need to figure out what path we're taking in terms of with the design and what we're going to eventually tender. All garbage bins. The budget for that was 1.5. period actual 64,000. We ordered an additional 15 4-yards blue bins and an additional 10 heated bag bins. They're expected to be delivered this summer and hopefully install that around town as the need arises. Chief Jim Coley Park washroom concession. The budget for this was 575. We haven't spent anything on this right now. We're still in progress. We're still in the design phase at this time. And just like Director Berrier mentioned, she successfully applied for additional funding from ITI, which was approved. So we have an additional 100,000 that's been approved for this project. So this is to get the washroom and concession. And it's right there in the bottom right. Yes, right there. That's the location, right? I thought I had a point on this as well. Yeah. Playground assessment and refurbishment. We have the budget of 150 for that. The initial assessment has been complete. The engineer was in town about 2 weeks ago. So right now we're expecting the reports, and that should be in within the next 4 weeks. And then we're gonna have the 50% design submission for the Cogmalit playground expected in about 5 weeks as well. Boat launch rehabilitation, just like the mayor mentioned earlier, the budget on that we have currently for that is 100. We submitted an application for 515 to the GNWT, and once we have all the towing and all that done, the survey and soil testing is scheduled for the middle of June. Tenders. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4 tenders out. Sewage lagoon improvement, material procurement, that closes May 29th. Sewage lagoon improvement, the actual construction, that closes June 6th. Solid waste collection contract closes May 30th, and the CFS renovation closes May 30th as well. Community services and public works. So we've had, as many people would have noticed, we've had a street sweeper out there on the streets for the last couple of weeks, trying to sweep up most of the gravel from the winter. That's going to carry on for at least the next couple of weeks here before we can get the whole of town cleaned. Culvert steaming, the utility crew have been out there when the melt started trying to steam out the culvert, and we were really lucky this year with the weather. So it wasn't as bad as last year, but yeah, most of the culverts are, the weather is well warm now, so pretty good on that front. Gravel road repair, we've ordered a couple of tampers and both the handheld one and the automated ones to help with that. So once those come into town, we already have cold mix, which is already at King Road. So the guys can go out there fixing up a couple of the potholes and stuff like that on the pavement. And then we have the contractor that goes around grading the gravel road when needed. Facilities. So the hot tub, we've been dealing with a couple of leaks with the hot tub, and that's why we haven't made significant progress, I guess. So the latest leak is right there on those flanges, and the as and when contractor is scheduled to do that this week. So hopefully once this is fixed, we can have that hot tub filled and fingers crossed no more leaks and have it inspected by the health officer before we can reopen. Oh yeah, facilities, yes. Just talking about preparation for the final budget. I know one of the big ticketed lines we have is the utility bills. And currently the one on the screen right now is the water treatment plant. So I looked at what we've been paying since 2021, put it all together to try to project what we'll potentially be paying for 2025. So we have actuals already, obviously, from January till May, and then we try to project for the rest of the year. And currently, we are about $286,000 to $373,000 short. And that's dependent on if the 15% increase takes place. I think the last article I read about that did say something along the lines of a decision is expected in June. So I did this math like that the increase will commence in July. So if the increase doesn't happen, then obviously we're in better shape. But if it does happen, we are currently, our budget on this particular item is currently short. But I would also note anyway that the budget line for the water treatment plant isn't just the water treatment. It also covers Hidden Lake, all the junction houses, all that. So the that line item, about 46% of it is the water treatment plant, but there's about 53% that is all the entirety of the system itself. I did the same for the MSC. Currently we have a shortfall of about 431 if we keep going the way we're going. One thing I did find obviously is we are using power. I'll speak to the team and we'll see what and why. Because since 2021, for both the water treatment plant and the MSC, we are using more for both buildings. So I need to try and figure out what those changes are. But obviously the cost from NTPC is also going up. So the fact that we're using more and then the NTPC cost is higher, and if the 15% increase does come into play, we're currently at a shortfall of about 431 on that budget line item. Thank you for your time. Any questions from council?
Thank you, Daniel. Questions from council? Daniel, I've got a question on the concession and washrooms.
Yeah.
Washrooms, both of them are requiring a lot of water and sewage. Where's that going from that site?
So the original plan was to try to hook up to the line behind the Anglican church. Okay. And then run it that way. But after the site visits 2 weeks ago, Nick was in town 2 weeks ago, the current plan is to actually trench it to the Welcome Center. They think that's probably going to save us a bit of money. Both the electricity and the water sewer will be trenched to the Welcome Center. And then from there to the utility.
And that's in the budget for the concession and washrooms?
That was one of the reasons I was excited when she got the $100,000 she got, because I was a little bit skeptical that, especially if we're going to be building a utility debt. If we're going to be building a utility debt, I did think we were going to go over budget. Waiting for that estimate. I haven't gotten the estimate yet, but with the extra money she now has, which has put us to 600,000, and the fact that we do believe trenching the water, sewer, and electricity will probably be cheaper. That's what the engineers are currently thinking. We'll probably be able to save some money and be within budget. That's the hope. So the building itself right now is about 290 something. The quotes we got, if that was pre-manufactured concrete delivered from down south. So obviously, if there's a contractor in town that bids for it and wants to build the whole, because it's a concrete structure. If there's a contractor in town that wants to build it right here in town and can bid that price, of course, that's what the quote we based our estimate on was this supplier down south.
Sorry.
Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, just on the water sewage, basically, if you're gonna trench it to the visitor center, is there grade right now? Like you're gonna have underground grade to be able to go, or?
Those details are what the engineers are currently working on, and that's why I don't have the drawings. So I was supposed to get the drawings on Friday, and I reached out asking for an update, and he said the mechanical engineers were still working. So they already have the civil and electrical, all that done, but they didn't have the mechanical engineers still working on those details, and that's why I don't have the drawings yet. So once he figures all of that out, he'll send the drawing for a review, and we'll have a look at it and make a determination if that works for us or not.
And that utility debt that leaves the Anglican Church, that's not an option?
Like I said, that was the first option. That was the first option that I discussed with him when we were on site to look at the location and have the geotech done. So it was when they visited 2 weeks ago, they decided they were probably going to change it. So like I said, so I'm still waiting to see. I haven't seen the drawings, so this is just from the conversations I've had with them when I asked for an update. But until I see the drawings and then we review it, then we determine. But that was the first option we thought about. But we would have to have agreement from the Anglican Church because it's their property. It's not the town's. So if we're going to go that route, we have to reach out to the Anglican Church.
Okay. Councilor McDonald.
Just another quick question on the energy usage. You said basically every year at the rec center, the Minnesota complex, it's gone.
And the water treatment. Yes.
But the rec center particularly, Because the pool wasn't open for so long. We weren't running a lot of equipment and I don't understand how the electricity usage would have been more. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I agree too, but that's what the numbers are. So the water, the NTP, so I got the NTPC bills from 2021 till 2025, and I put that in the table. And every year we have consistently used more. And that surprised me too. And that's what I was saying. It's something I need to probably speak to the team about and find out why that's happening. Last year was over 1 million kilowatt hours. That one I remember because yeah, I have that in my head. The other three, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but we have consistently gone up. Same with the water treatment plant. So and I was thinking, are the pumps getting older? Are they pulling? I was like, I was just trying to wrap my head around why that's happening. But like I said, it's a conversation I'll have to have with the team. I'll probably need to sit down and figure out why we are using more. Because we're using more, the cost is also going up, and we're paying more.
Deputy Mayor Barrett.
Yeah, everything was the same thing, because trying to understand that too. The cost actually understandably goes up since because of rate increases, but if your kilowatt hour usage continually is going up and up and up, like something seems off. Have we ever had an energy audit done on the building?
Yes, we have. Yes, so we had AEA, Arctic Energy Alliance. They came up and did an energy audit for the MSC, and since that report was done, the town has been implementing the recommendations that were made. So an example of that is the pneumatic system we're trying to upgrade now to DDCs, which we currently don't have the money for. And I've reached out to about 3 organizations looking for funds for that. But that's one of the projects that came out as a result of that report. So since the reports came out 4 or 5 years ago now, that was done. The town has consistently had projects on their capital, and the capital project as a result of that report, trying to fix and do the recommendations so that we can bring down the cost.
Yeah, I think those costs are substantial and we need to determine something to bring those down, whether it's whatever it is, but we've got to look at something there because it's just not sustainable at that cost. And I think that's where things were at since last fall. And I mean, your numbers have proved that's exactly where they're at. So I think we'll see whether the solar panels will bring it down, but I think also the behavior of staff will need a good shake-up to turn the lights off if no one's in the building.
Yeah, there has been a significant drop already, even from April to May. I think in April it was 100 and I can't remember the number now, but it was about half. The bill in May was just slightly over 50,000 kilowatt hours. But in April we had over 100,000 kilowatt hours. Obviously the plant is now off, which is a significant, the plant for the ice rink and the coloring, that's now off, which is a significant load. So yeah, it was almost 50% just between April and May. So, yeah. And hopefully for the rest of the year, so we have to turn that back on. We can maintain 50,000 or less per month. And like I said, hopefully the solar panel also comes on in July, August. So that'll probably be a potential big savings.
Just a quick question on the water treatment plant, because that I would have thought should be consistent, like that power usage outside maybe the junction houses for whatever reason with the plant itself.
Yeah, that one is more, it is going up, but not, I mean, the use itself is also higher, but not as significant. Can you put that back on? Is it possible?
Yeah, I was gonna look at like, is there a trend because if every year it's gone up, is there
The one for
a proportional trend basically?
Oh. Oh, so that's the one for the water treatment plant. Sorry, it's a little bit tiny, but that's the usage on the left. So that was 40 something thousand kilowatt, another 40 something thousand. These are 400 and something thousand, sorry. So it's consistently just been going. So the top left, right? Yeah, top left corner there is the trend in terms of actual usage. And those are actual numbers. So that's 2021, 2022, 2023. I'm sorry, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. 2025 is projected. That's me projecting for the rest of the year. But the first three are actuals from the NTPC one. So, and of course, the rate has been going up. Now we're about 0.9 something cents, so 90 something cents. And if the increases do happen, we're going to be going above $1 lower.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel. Looks like Patricia's up with another works.
Good evening, everyone. So Inuvik Works, this is my first formal presentation to Honorable Mayor and Councillors, so thank you for your time this evening. And it's my first time using the little clicker, so Jenna, if I mess up, do you have control that I don't have to make everybody, yeah, and you just do it for me, please, next slide. That way nobody has to watch me film. So the quantitative update. So in 1 week, we had people donating items and we diverted 1,425 pounds of items from the landfill in just the very first week that we opened for donation. We were quite excited about that. We weigh everything when it comes in the door, so we know what we're bringing in, the amount of pounds that we're bringing in. And people are always very clear that they're happy we're there because they would just be throwing it away in the landfill. For funding, we got our second contribution agreement from the Canadian Women's Foundation. So that was our second contribution agreement for 75,000 annually for the next 4 years. So that will bring 300,000 into the Inuvik Works program. And it will be mainly for staffing the positions. The Mentorability Hub partnership, we got that right off the hop. They heard the Honorable Mayor on the news and followed up with him to say, we're interested in this project, how can we partner? And they have given $24,750 for, again, wages, and we will be the Mentorability Hub for Inuvik, and that program has already started. So in the first part of the project, we had a renovation crew that was in working. We had 3 participants, and 1 participant has gone on. They're working on their class 3 driver training. I worked with them. Everybody who comes in the door as a participant in the Inuvik Works program, one of the first questions I ask them is, what are your dreams? What are your goals? Not, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And sometimes it takes a little bit of digging to get to the, you know, I want to work, I want to stay sober, I want to, you know, show up yeah, okay, we can work on that today, but what do you want over there? And so this individual's goal was to be a class 3, to be have his class 3 driver's license. And so we partnered with GTC and he's well on his way to doing that. So we were really excited about that. So funds are secured for the manager position and some activities for the Inuvik Works program. There's funds anticipated from the GNWT, Department of ECC, and from the Inuvik Community Corp and GTC. And on the next slide, we see some tables. So the ones in green are the ones that are, so if they're green on the right-hand side, that means that we've secured that funding. The contribution agreements have been presented to us verbally or have been signed off. And the ones in green on the left-hand side mean that they're in progress and they're very viable. It's just a matter of the numbers or approving off, but they're looking really good. That's the part that's looking really good. The one thing that I'm going to say is the Make Way Foundation. I actually heard from them today. They are unable, we didn't meet the criteria. They worked so hard. It's an organization I've worked with in the past. They worked so hard to make us fit, but they just couldn't make us fit into their funding scenario. We had lots of conversations back and forth. So that one will move down off the green mark. The Inuvik Native Band, they've partnered with us on the some of the proposals, and the one that they partnered with us on is the waste reduction and recycling. And I just heard from them that they are giving us $21,720. So they'll be moved to the green. Without the Inuvik Native Band, we wouldn't have been able to apply for that because the town didn't meet the criteria. So we're very fortunate that they were able to partner with us. The Department of Education, Culture and Employment, there are two pots of money that we're waiting on. One is the wage subsidy program that is based on individuals. So you have to identify an individual that you're going to hire, and they have to fill out paperwork, and you have to fill out paperwork, and you submit it, and then it's approved or it's not approved. I was talking to the department today, and it looks like they're going to approve 2 for sure, and possibly the third one. We're just trying to work out the details of that and make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted on all of that paperwork. And then the other one, the community training partnership, that is for the overall project. And so funds for that will go towards paying the foreman's wage for the Inuvik Works crew and the next to new administrator, which is what we're calling the person who we're training to sort of run the store. And those they're gonna give us money. They're just not sure from what pot, and they're not sure the exact amount yet. I just talked to them at 5 o'clock at the end of the day today, and they're still trying to figure that all out. So, and GTC, we're partnering with them for all kinds of things. In June, they're going to do some soft skills training with our whole crew, just some basic, how do you be an employee? What are the roles and responsibilities and expectations of employer and employee? They're going to do possibly some first aid and some food safe and just some of those skills that will help the Inuvik Works crew move on to other employment in other areas. The next slide talks about some potential funding. This is funding that we put in or that we're putting in. Some we're not eligible for, some we've been declined, but it's things that are still on the radar. And this list is ever growing, ever fluctuating as I submit proposals and talk to partners. So you'll see there's a list of people that we've spoken to and are partnering, trying to partner with. On the next slide, the qualitative update. So the building at 5 Berger has been renovated for the next to new and Inuvik Works. I invite all of you to stop in. The building looks completely different. Some of you have visited me on a fairly regular basis or have gotten photos of updates and have seen the changes. But for those of you who've not been in the building, I really invite you to come, and you will be getting a formal invite. We're going to invite you as counselors and some of the leadership in town to come view before we actually do an opening. We're pretty much ready to open the next to new. We're waiting for our POS system so we can take payments because right now we don't have a system for that. So they're ordered, they're in the mail, so hopefully there's no strike before they get here and they will arrive in a timely manner. So that's basically what we're waiting for our soft opening. Right now we have had completed some comprehensive thrift store training. It was completed by 6 volunteers and 4 staff members. And so I learned a lot about all the things that go in to make a good quality thrift store. And it's not just a jumbo filled room of stuff. It's actually organized. It looks like a retail space. There's a lot of pre-work that goes into that when things are donated. And so we learned a lot, and I think the store looks amazing, and the staff and volunteers have done an amazing job at getting it set up. The next to new store was furnished with found shelves and clothing racks that we purchased with the funds we got from EC&E for 24-25. The store is all stocked with donated goods. The imperfect clothing items we're using for what we're calling a whale of a deal. So we're gonna have a section with some bins that are organized, and if somebody's going on the land to a whaling camp and they just want something to grunge around in and get dirty in or whatever, or want their kids to go play in the mud, or some of my friends from off the street need a summer shirt, we're gonna have a section just for that kind of thing. So it's not our high-end retail, it's our lower-end retail section. And the Inuvik Works foreman and the next to new administrator have been identified. We're just waiting on paperwork to all be signed, and then we'll let you know who those individuals are. And one thing I didn't put on here is we just finished our logo contest. So we have a logo for the next to new shop that's pretty much ready to go, and a logo for Inuvik Works that we're just fine tuning and putting in a digital format. And then we'll have a release of those logos, and we'll start our own social media site so that the town's marketing and tourism department doesn't have to take the load of our social media. We can do some of our own. I talked about the Mentorability Partnership, and that is a partners, it's mentors who sign up to support people who have identified themselves to have a disability to search out a career goal that they might have. So maybe somebody wants to do I don't know, maybe somebody wants to be a mayor. And so Peter would be a mentor and say, I can mentor that. I've done that a little bit. And he would sign up to be a mentor, and then the mentee would sign up to be a mentee, and they would get together for a day for either in between 1 hour's worth of time or a day's worth of time. And you would talk to them and tell them all about what you do and how you do it. And they would decide if that's a path they wanted to take. And so we're going to do a partner session to join mentees and mentors in late June. So Inuvik Works and Next to New are well on their way to sustainability, and both Inuvik Works and Next to New will be a different version of the past programs that you've seen. And just because of funding and space and all that good stuff. And do you have any questions for me?
Thanks, Patricia. Some great news there on the funding. Questions from council? Deputy Mayor Barrow.
No question, but just to commend you on all the work you put in today to get things up and running. It's been great to see it coming together. There was a little bit of uncertainty at the start. I think a lot of people wanted to be there, but fiscal year end and all that fun stuff. Timing was a bit of a challenge perhaps at the very beginning, but it's good to see it coming together, and hopefully the program proves to be a winner, because once you can show that you've got a good functional program, everyone wants to be associated with a winner, and hopefully it'll make finding funding a little easier going forward at that point.
Mm-hmm. And I think from my discussions with people who operate thrift stores, the thrift store alone has a potential to be sustainable on its own. It's pretty amazing now that I've learned how thrift stores are operated, the potential that's there. Yeah, and how people make a profit off of thrift stores and invest in other things. So I think there's a lot of potential there. Yeah. And thank you to all the people who have donated wonderful items, because that's what's keeping it going. Yeah. Thank you.
With the questions. Thanks, Patricia. Great job, and great job for all your staff. They've been doing a great job.
Thanks. And please do pop in. It's quite exciting to see.
And who's next? Steve.
Exactly. Sorry.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's been a while since I've been in this chair, so I'm happy to present my report to you this evening. Just to touch base real quick, we hosted a first responders event. It was well received by the community, to recognize all the contributions from firefighters, paramedics, RCMP, and various other first responders, whether they wear uniforms or not. So thank you, everyone. It was a great turnout. The food was really great too. Also this year, the Midnight Sun Complex was the venue for the annual firefighters gala. We just did some pre-planning with the folks there, so just made it really smooth for accuracy and administrative details for bookings and licensing for insurance and alcohol permits and things like that. Just a few more updates. We've recently had our user group meeting with the softball, slow pitch, minor ball, and fast pitch teams. Just some general topics of scheduling maintenance and equipment upgrades. So everyone was pretty happy to be at that meeting to get a head start. Summer camp applications closed on Friday. We're going to be reviewing them this week. We're going to be offering 8 weeks of summer camp from July 2nd to August 22nd again this year. One action item from our Parks and Rec Tourism Advisory Committee was suggested that we implement a QR code or some instrument to report damaged or broken equipment. And so far, we've had about 6 reports come in. So members can scan the QR code. Myself and Trace will get information based on what that piece of equipment is, and just a small blurb of what's broken or how it's not functioning properly. So it's just giving us another tool to be able to identify errors that are in the fitness center and correct them quickly without having to be in there every day. Some funding. We've signed a contribution agreement for 43,000 from MACA. Some new youth center funding for 15,000 as the youth center is not operating was extended to us to apply. And that application is in review and hopefully will be approved very soon. Just some upcoming events and information items. It's going to be Aloha Day, June 5th. They'll be having their celebration in Chief Chincoy Park. Muskrat Jamboree Kitty Carnival is happening the 7th and the 8th. Community cleanup is happening next week till the 13th. I'll touch on that a little more. National Indigenous Peoples Day, June 22nd, June 21st. The Midnight Sun Fun Run, June 21st. And then the first Inuvik Slow Pitch Tournament is happening June 27th to the 29th. Just some information here for community zone cleanup. As you can see, the color-coded map on the right-hand side, it does represent denominations for gratuities for participation in those zones for community groups to help clean up the community. So far, I think I had 6 on my report, and now there are 8 zones taken. And we're going to work with Patricia and Inuvik Works to fulfill any of the unclaimed zones for the Inuvik Works folks, so they can help participate and we can share the wealth with them. Just a reminder for beautification contest that it'll be starting really soon, and that one member from council, I believe Councillor Day or Councillor Lemieux, were selected for that. So judging will be in August. Some stats here, library stats on the left-hand side, pool stats in the middle, and fitness programming stats on the right-hand side. The library's been pretty busy again, lots of bodies in there. Pool stats, same thing, lots of bodies in the pool. You can see from some of the numbers and the demographics that are using the pool, and some daily average users are upwards of 60, and in some cases 90 users a day. Pool attendance is actually still free up until September. We've managed to secure all sponsorships right up till September, so There's no fees for participating in non-instructor led programs or access. And then our fitness programs, boot camp, we've had 29 on average throughout the month, 31 on Thursdays, and we've had 20 people at yoga on Wednesday nights. Thanks, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thanks, Steve. Questions for Steve on any of those programs? Counselor Gills.
Steve, do you know when the last time we reviewed our pool rates and like our facility rates, just with the cost of everything going up, like have we reviewed that? Cause I was just in the Terwilliger one and, you know, myself paid about 50 to go for a swim. So it's not unrealistic, like if we're paying $3, so just curious.
Thank you for your question. That is going to be an agenda item at our next Parks and Rec meeting. So there will be a review commencing very soon.
Any other questions? Alana, anything from you? Yes.
No, nothing for me. Thanks, Peter.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Last but not least, right.
I've got a bit of an interactive one this year.
Everything else, say or anything?
You gotta get up, clap, sing. No, I don't do that anymore. Can I sneak them back? It's actually for yeah. What I wanted to show, if you check your emails, you use for the council reports as well, you'll have gotten a link directly to the app that I want to check. And actually, can you know the link I sent you? Right now? You
emailed me a link?
Yeah. And so just pull up the app. So you can access it through a couple of different ways. You can either scan this QR code with a smartphone. You can access it directly through the link that I sent. And
Sorry, what do you want me to do with this?
just pull up that, just click on the link actually. Not running it up and you can navigate through it.
If I click on it here, it's not gonna show up on there.
Can you just wait?
Well, because
We can minimize this, right? Oh, it's on there.
it's on my laptop.
Oh, okay, I thought your customer's there. I got it, yeah. Bear with me. That's got the shared folder, right?
Yeah, you can access share folder. The documents folder right there.
One second, just really quick. Folder school.
So while Brian is doing that, for those of you, I see everybody on their phone. Everybody knows how to access a QR code from their phones. So that is actually what he's going to be talking about, that you can follow along as well. And this QR code takes you to the public facing, well, it takes you to the emergency management app that we are using, the link to that. And Brian will explain a little bit more in terms of who has access to what. And it's going to be our public facing if you need to access information. So,
Oh, geez,
there we go.
Yeah, well, eyeballs. Right. So yeah, this is just the same app that you guys have linked to as well. So people can either download this as like a full-fledged app. They can use it within a browser. There's all sorts of things. You don't have the Facebook account, you don't have the Instagram, you don't have anything else. You basically just have a PC or a smartphone. Then you can pull it up. Plus now we've got a bunch of different things. It's optimized for smartphones. That's how we decided what the best way to use this would be. Within this itself, we can edit it on the fly as well. So we can add information as we move during an emergency itself, which is kind of handy just because if we want to get like very, very pertinent information out there, we can do that like with no problem, kind of seamlessly as well. So that's pretty nice to be able to do that. The idea with this one is going to be an app that's available for the general public as well as responders. What we've done within the app itself is we've compartmentalized it. So for things that need to be publicly accessible, everybody has access to it. For things that need to be held a little bit tighter, we've put password protection and security around that because it links back to our Google Drives, our workspace accounts, basically. Allows us to access things remotely, and that allows the public to get timely information when they need it, as well as get the generic plan, all the other information that we may have as well. I'll go over some of the reasons for that when we review the plan itself. We have links directly to GNWT resources as well within this. So the NWT alert system, the Be Prepared website, we have emergency contact information. We go to this. It basically just has all the local emergency contact information with direct links to the like a printable and downloadable copy directly from the website as well. There's the emergency plan 2. I'm not going to go into that. I'll go to that in a second. We'll pull up the actual emergency plan. And then we have the support services directory update page. What we're doing within this is we realize it's very difficult to actually contact every single business, make sure that everything is up to date. So we kind of want to push it the other way. What we're going to be doing is we've created a form. So within this form, businesses can update their information on here. So they can go to the support services directory contact information form. They can fill everything out through this, and this will automatically populate and update our the resource forms. So basically, businesses like restaurants, hotels, other places that may be providing support, resources, equipment, personnel, all sorts of other things within this as well. We have found that as people moved and as people transitioned out, businesses closed, new ones opened, it was difficult to keep up with this. The contact list for this will be driven from the business license database. And then we'll just send out regular updates to them. We think on a quarterly or semi-annual basis, we'll send this out. And it'll just be a link that goes out to business owners where they can update it and provide information to us. So in the app itself, so we have that part, and then we have the community emergency plan itself. So within this the plan itself is embedded right in the app. So you don't even need the download link, but you can get it as well. Bunch of different ways to access it. And what we're doing is we're considering this a living document. So we'll always have access to this. It'll always be updated. We're not relying on printed copies of it anymore. We'll have printed copies available to get updated, but we have like 1 or 2 basically. Everything will go within the database, and we have several different locations where we're storing copies of it electronically. So we have it on the server, we have it on local devices as well as cloud-based, and then within the app itself. So a number of different spots where people can access it, and all the documentation within it. A lot of the kind of the really important information for us is within the appendices. So we've indicated whether this is confidential information or public access. For things like the emergency contact list, we don't necessarily want that accessible to everybody. Within that one, it's going to have backline numbers. It's going to have stuff that we have access to within emergency services in terms of, again, back channel numbers for different organizations. It'll have personal information for business owners. We've reached out to people and we want to get the best number, not necessarily the publicly accessible number. So a number of different things within that as well. Mutual aid agreements and MOUs, we'll store all those there. And they're in there right now. I can't go on it within this one, but I can go on it within mine because I have access through our Google accounts. Things like the EOC organizational chart, for instance, we can click on that, and that will be accessible through our Google Drive, and it basically has all the publicly accessible information about the stuff that we do want to get out there. Hazard response plan is for very specific information about different types of responses. A lot of the information within this is held by the actual operational organizations. The fire department, we have our own SOGs for dealing with fire emergencies and so on. Maps are available through this list of critical infrastructure based on what we have identified as being really important to maintain during an emergency. There's a support services directory. The radio frequencies as well, we just did a full reshuffle of that. So we have updated radio frequencies with proper licensing for everything. And then our training matrix as well. I'll get to this when we review the plan itself. And then the public awareness program. And this is a pretty big part of it as well, as getting this information. So I'll just switch over to the other. Jen, I think you got just for the plan itself. The other document I gave?
So just click on Adobe.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, and so this is our emergency plan. I'm just gonna pull up my notes here. It's pretty straightforward in terms of the layout of it itself. I'll go to I'm not gonna go through every single thing. One of the first things you're gonna see to activate this plan, see section 6.4 activation procedures. It has the basics that you need to actually drop this in. One of the focuses that we did is we wanted to make sure that we approached from an operational point of view. The people that are going to be using this document are operationally focused. Us, RCMP, ECC, AMS, organizations like that have the requisite training and other aspects with this too. So we wanted to make sure that things would be available for people to see, along with all the boilerplate and everything else that's included with it. Whole list of definitions and acronyms. I'm not going to kill everybody with these right now because there's lots of stuff to learn from. But again, we're assuming that the people that are beginning to be using this document have a base level of training with it as well. We can kind of just go over the content itself. So with section 1, it basically goes through the framework itself, the underlying documents, references, and other things that we include with this the plan. It talks about confidentiality with public access versus private access and about how we're going to arrange that. Within number 2, it gets into more emergency management theory. Talks about the emergency management cycle, focus on prevention, preparedness, response, and then recovery. And then that goes back to lead more prevention, more preparedness, more response, more recovery. It's a continuum. Goes into some detail on ICS framework. So ICS is the Incident Command System. It's a framework that emergency services organizations use to manage any type of emergency, no matter what it is. Anybody that works within this world is very familiar with it. We use it all the time within the wildland responses. We use it all through COVID during the COVID response. We use it in our fire department operations. We use it in large scale, small scale, everything. It's a scalable program itself that we can use. Part of the training component of this is making sure that everybody that participates at the command level and management level has basic level of emergency management training, ICS training. So that's the last part there. Within section 3 goes into roles and responsibilities with our emergency plan itself. So we are the local emergency management organization. Under the NVT Emergency Act, we have the authority to declare, renew, or terminate a state of emergency. We have the authority as the EMO or LEMO to establish agreements, conduct operational activities, and we can engage volunteers and laypersons in the emergency response. We can also initiate an evacuation if required and restrict access back to the community as necessary. Within this, we've also defined the roles of different partners within this. GNWT has the regional EMO. If we do scale up and we need resources that are beyond what the municipality can provide, we can access regional and territorial resources. We still maintain control, communications, and we can request support as needed. It's our plan, it's our operations, but we need to be able to work with our partners in order to affect these plans. We've consulted ECC, the RCMP, AMS, and other operational and Beaufort Delta Health and Social Services in the initial development and restructure of the plan itself, with an operational focus on the initial revamp. We just wanted to make sure that this would work for us in the summer without having to go into too much administrative detail, but we fully intend to flesh out further, bring on more partners with this as well, and just fine tune it, but we're pretty comfortable for the summer itself. The 4th section goes into hazard identification and risk assessment. It's situational. So we're taking an as-needed approach. We need to train our personnel, drill scenarios, because each response is unique. Our capabilities, our response partners' capabilities, they're generated via training and experience, and that's how we want to manage our operations itself. One thing we noticed is continuity of service. This is one of the COVID lessons that we realized. The COVID, while it had a larger picture, it was very difficult to transition people back to regular work and maintain continuity of operations. This was at all levels of government, but we were all involved in this when we developed this plan, and we took a lot of the lessons learned from that to make sure that we didn't fall into the same pitfalls there. One of those is rotation of personnel based on, and it's also based on redundancy. We need to rotate people out. We got to make sure that core personnel are not tied to an operational role for months straight. We need to be able to run the town and run the business We also decided the EOC itself is not going to be located in the council chambers. It's going to be in the fire hall plaza. It opens this up for our policy group, which is another coordination that another group that we have, and that's consisting of mayor, council, and the SAOs, the liaison. You guys will meet here, and we'll provide you with updates as the operation continues, so that you guys are fully informed about what is occurring and what's happening. The next steps, basically. It's a critical link between the operations and the public to make sure that we have consistent messaging throughout and ensuring that the operations are conducted in accordance with our training and our planning, basically. Let's see, section 7. For the response itself, it identifies our facilities, a lot of stuff within this. It has every single role clearly defined within this as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this and exactly what all it is. We have specific people assigned for it based on function within the organization itself. And that's basically how that's going to roll out. So the Emergency Operations Center, we have a whole separate program for this. The Incident Command Post, which was typically there as well, and then the Reception Center too. We've identified a number of different facilities based on the nature of the emergency and based on the time of year that we're going to be able to use. And we've consulted with various organizations to make sure that we have access to those as well. It also covers our evacuation. So we have a number of different options for that, ranging from a full complete evacuation to shelter in place. And it really is going to be situational depending on what it is. We try not to be too prescriptive with a plan like this, because if we had a wildfire event right now, for instance, and our only and exclusive plans to evacuate the entire town, we'd run into a bit of a pickle, just with the road being closed, obviously. So what this does allows us to, it gives us some ideas, it gives us resources, and allows us to put a plan in place depending on what our operations and actual situation is. A major part of the plan as well is the recovery portion. It's a long process, involves mental health, economic planning, all sorts of different recoveries, and that's where we definitely lean on the GWT to provide assistance on that, because it's typically more than a municipality can handle. We've taken a lot of lessons from other regions and other communities that have experienced a larger scale emergency in the last few years. And then one of the final aspects of this is the training and exercises. So from a training perspective, we intend to have every single supervisor take ICS 100. It's an online program that we're rolling out to our directors, supervisors, and key personnel within the municipality itself. We're also going to be conducting tabletop exercises with those personnel to get them up to ICS level 200, which is more of a management level, supervisory level version of ICS. We have the ability to train up to ICS 300 locally. We can do 400 with assistance. We're just working with ICS Canada to get accreditation to teach that last part. And then running exercises as well. So a lot of this involves cross-training with other organizations. We have cross-training event coming up with ECC, where we're going to finalize and work on different scenarios with our wildland interface response plan. So we had to move it back a little bit. It was supposed to be this weekend coming up, actually, and we moved it to later in June, just to accommodate other training and equipment purchases that are ongoing as well. But that's our general plan, and this is kind of a layout of the plan itself. And again, like I said, it has the appendices. Within the appendices, a lot of these within this document are blanked out because we don't have necessarily access to them. But it's clickable links, so we have a full version of this, and we can actually go through this and go to the different sections within it with a full table of contents with it. So it's a more accessible document, gives us more options to roll that out. And like I said, there's multiple methods to access this app, and we can change, like I said, we can change things on the fly as well. We would typically, if we're doing evacuations or any registrations, we can input a form into this as well that would go into a database. So public can access this along with daily updates would be the intention at the top of the app itself. Our next stages in this is to finalize our interface response plan with ECC. We're sitting down with Angel, she's our contact from ECC, to finalize that, go over some scenarios. We're looking basically at WICs that are approaching the community. We did review this in brief with the Public Works and Protective Services Committee, and we're implementing our actual capital project where we purchased some large-scale sprinklers that would help with the interface response and increase humidity along basically a vapor bubble along certain areas of town. We're combining that with fuel treatment and other aspects and other programs, along with just the main firefighting itself to make sure that we're prepared for any fires that could be approaching town, because that's gonna be our biggest worry and concern over the summer at least. We're already starting to see fires this year. ECC had their first event. And we're just working with them to make sure that they receive cross training on municipal projects and we receive cross training on in the wildland as well. So kind of Cole's note view of this right now. I'd encourage everybody to review this. You have access to it as well. We're going to be doing a separate meeting on this in the fall after our main emergency season, so we can evaluate, see what happened, see how any if we get any responses, what happened, critique them as part of the review committee, and then provide more operational updates to this as well. And then the committee will provide another update to council at that time. And if we need to make change, we've identified some changes we may need to make to our emergency management bylaw. And we'll have those up for the fall as well. We just wanted to make sure that we were prepared operationally at this time. So one last thing that I'm going to update as well is part of this training has been under wildland urban interface response. We attended a conference in Yellowknife where we met with other fire departments, other operational partners, and we were introduced to some of the funding opportunities. So we submitted an application to the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan or fund. Well, the plan we put in for is for $300,000 each year over 3 years, $900,000 in total funding. It's heavy on personnel and staffing, so that we can have a person that's dedicated to emergency coordination, wildland urban interface response, and cross training with those other partners within the region itself. There's some equipment asks that we put in there as well that will help smooth out some of the overall costs associated with this and other aspects of our wildland urban interface response. We're waiting for a decision on this. We've gotten some good feedback from the decision makers on this grant. And they're actually visiting the week after next, and we're going to be sitting down and meeting with them, discussing capabilities, our operations, and exactly how we plan to implement this funding. So we feel confident that we're going to gain the funding, and we'll be successful applicants on this. We're kind of leading the way in terms of the region for this. We have broad support from other municipalities within the region, as well as other organizations that we consulted with at this conference itself. We'll reach out to them for even further support. If we need letters or any other support from if the application doesn't quite go the way we expect. So, is there any questions from council for this heavy content? Rushed, not rushed, but there's a lot of work actually on it. John Hicks, our deputy chief, put some significant work into this from a structural organizational side, including building the app itself. So we built the app itself from scratch, so we can modify, change it, do everything else we want with it as well. So, but this is kind of the first rollout we've ever had for public on our apps. So,
Thanks, Brian. Questions from council, comments? Sounds like we're good.
perfect. We'll check, and by all means, anytime reach out. We'd love to show you what we're doing.
Thanks.
Oh, anything? Oh. Everyone rather on devices.
I thought he was saying that something, I was like.
Okay, that concludes all the department updates. Item number 11, information items, nothing? Yeah. Council concerns, item number 12.
I have one quick one.
Councilman McGillis.
Steve, I just meant to mention it when you were up, sorry, but that Sun Fun Run, I don't know if anyone ever told you, but just last year, one of your runners was like being chased by a bear. It was either last year or the year before, but Paris Wingman like saved them. And I don't know if it ever got to anyone, and I was always curious, but she literally like was coming up and the person was running and they didn't notice, and they were on your Sun Fun Run. And they were like going that long length, towards town. And Paris and Jake were in a vehicle and they like rushed up to her because there was a bear running after her, about 100 yards, like going after her. And then they said, get in. And she jumped in and then they drove her to town. I don't know if it ever got back, but I'm telling because when I heard it, to me, that's concerning. And I don't know if there's enough like drivers, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe enough like workers But I could find out what year it was, but it was a year, like, and there was a, she had a number on her back and she was part of the Sun Fun Run.
Shop look on all of our faces.
Yeah.
This is the first we are hearing about
Yeah,
favors.
so just sometimes you need to hear from other people, but it was, but just to make the comment that maybe we need more people on that 10K than just the runners.
Director Crew did take care of that, at least I know for sure last year, because we were out on safety patrols throughout it, fire department, municipal enforcement.
Awesome.
We did it last year and I didn't hear about any bears. I had to pick up a tired man, but that was it.
Okay. So we are patrolling it then.
And we're patrolling this.
Okay,
Here,
because
Steve,
it happened.
Director Crew already arranged for this long.
I promise I'm not making this up.
I believe you, and that's scary.
Okay, I made a note of it when I saw your date and it just reminded me.
We may or may not be armed when we go.
I don't know, that, what's that one? That may have been another event actually that, I don't know if you knew about it, but there was another event where there was a bear, the triathlon, right?
I was a woman, a tourist. She literally came to run it and was being chased by a bear and didn't even know it.
Sorry, I'd just like to clarify a few points. She's actually a local doctor, not a tourist.
Okay.
I was made aware of this. This was previously 2 years ago, and this did take place during a patrol that EC&E had made it out there, and that particular runner was already picked up. And I was notified about it. And that in the 12 years I've hosted this race, this was the first time that there was ever a bear scare. I do make it a point that at any given time, whether it's the marathon, 5K or the 10K, usually, you know, run safe, run smart, and be aware. And that continues to be the messaging. So I will make sure that's reiterated again this year to participants.
Cool.
Great, thanks. Certainly increase the speed of the 10K.
It stopped and after someone get eaten.
Any other council concerns? Okay. We do have an in-camera session, so we'll just need a motion to go in camera. Moved by Deputy Mayor Barlick, seconded by Councilor McDonald. All in favor? Great, thanks everyone. Thanks for all the reports.